Alright everyone, so first, my purposes of teaching conjunctions are just for my 10th grade class. And most of what I'm trying to do is to get rid of sentences like this in an essay. Students very frequently write something like one complete sentence and then a comma and then an afterthought of that sentence. They seem too closely related to separate with a period, and so students just chuck in a comma. And so most of the work related to grammar that I end up doing in 10th grade is to say, well, you can't do that, so you have to put in a coordinating conjunction after that, or turn it into a period, or use a semicolon, or whatever it is. That's why instruction on conjunctions ends up being fairly simplified, but there were quite a few comments asking for information about correlative conjunctions, so I thought I'd give this somewhat more detailed version of the video. So first, review for the other stuff that we already did. We started with coordinating conjunctions, and the acronym we use is fanboys, for and nor but or yet so. And coordinating conjunctions line up two equal things together. So you might think of whatever this connector is on a railroad track. You have one car, and they connect. Now both of these cars could roll on the tracks by themselves, but they're connected, and so now they both go together. While a subordinating conjunction you might think of as those double-decker cars where they're linked together by whatever connects these things on trains, I don't know. But only one of them can move along the track. So if I say something like, I eat because the food is delicious. Well, I eat is the thing on the tracks, right? That can go, that's a sentence. You can say that by itself. But because the food is delicious, you can't say that by itself. So I guess this is the boxcar that's on top. All right. Now there are a couple of problems with these that I don't really talk about when I'm keeping it simple. So I instruct students that they can link two independent clauses by having a comma and then a coordinating conjunction and sticking them together. But you can't really do that with all of these. We talk about how the word for most of the time isn't actually a conjunction. Most of the time it's a preposition. So if I say, I live for sushi, this is not, for in this sentence is not linking together two sentences. It's a preposition offsetting sushi from the independent clause, I live. That's only an independent clause if it's, I live, comma, for sushi exists. So sushi exists is a complete sentence, I live is a complete sentence, and then this kind of Shakespeare sounding comma for is linking them together. We don't usually speak that way. Even in essays we don't write that way all that often. But it's something important to keep in mind for when this is actually behaving that way. Likewise, the word nor. Sushi is expensive, comma, nor I do not like it. That sounds crazy. I guess it's grammatically correct, but we don't really talk about nor or behaving the same way. Really, I mean, maybe we just put it in this order for the acronym's sake. They can behave in the same way that but and so and yet do. But really, for coordinating conjunctions, if I only taught this as and, but, so, that would probably be enough. That's the point. For this sentence above, all we're trying to do is get students to take these complete sentences with an afterthought that's misapplied with a comma and just stick in a conjunction. So now it's, cell phones are a major problem in schools, and they cause many distractions. One more thing about coordinating conjunctions that I don't discuss quite as often, because again, this isn't typically a problem, is that you only use a comma when you're connecting two complete sentences. But these words are still coordinating conjunctions when they're connecting just single words. So you can connect just two nouns. Tom and Bill are going to school. So no comma needed here because Tom and Bill are not sentences, they're just nouns. In fact, if you put one, it's wrong. You can connect phrases. Going to the store and eating sushi are both fun. Here the word and is connecting this gerund phrase going to the store and this gerund phrase eating sushi. Again, it shouldn't have a comma. Only when there are two complete sentences do you have that comma. Tom is going to school, comma, and Bill is going to the store. The other use of coordinating conjunctions that I don't talk about very often is when they become a different type of conjunction, and that is correlative conjunction. So correlative conjunctions take several words and they correlate. They join these words together in kind of a group. But you'll notice that all of these contain coordinating conjunctions somewhere in the combination. So this one, the coordinating conjunction and is linking together these two adjectives, dangerous and distracting. But the word both adds some flavor to it. You know, if you keep things too simple, if you only use coordinating conjunctions, if you only use periods, semicolons, your sentences will sound pretty stiff. Cell phones are a major problem in schools, comma, and they cause many distractions. That's now grammatically correct, but it's almost worse as far as the style of it goes by putting this and in my opinion, because it's sort of clunky. It's like, you know, a little kid just saying and after every single sentence. We went to the store and we bought watermelon and we came home and we ate it. Sounds a little boring, and sometimes those both this and that, neither this nor that, they function to add some more depth to the transitions from one sentence to the next. Okay, so one other thing for correlative conjunctions that you might consider, the word nor is a coordinating conjunction. And if you were in the habit of putting a comma before these every time and you stuck one in there, this would now be wrong. The nor here is functioning like the and with Tom and Bill going to the store above, where it's just linking two nouns together, and the neither is adding some more transitional information. But you should not have a comma there. Beware of that. And adverbial conjunctions, we talked about these before. These aren't even on some lists of conjunctions. When they are, they're more commonly called conjunctive adverbs, which I think is more correct because that's what they are primarily, is adverbs. If you remove them from the sentence, you should still have a good, solid, grammatically correct independent clause. I love sushi, semicolon, therefore, I eat it every day. This therefore is purely for transitional meaning. It's not grammatically necessary. So if I were to delete it, I love sushi, semicolon, I eat it every day, I'm still in great shape. Likewise, if this were a period, it's the same thing. And if you just replace it with a regular adverb, you'll see that's true. I love sushi, period, happily, comma, I eat it every day. It's the same thing. Okay, and one last thing for subordinating conjunctions that I don't talk about in my classes is often these, I talk about them as though they're always connecting two independent clauses. I talk about dependent clauses as always requiring a subject and a verb, but they don't always necessarily. So if I said something like this, after eating a large meal, one should wait to digest before going swimming, and my students see the word after. I try not to ever put something like this on a quiz because I don't want to confuse, but if in the early stages a student asks what this is, I tell them it's functioning as a preposition, just like you would say after dark or after 3 p.m. But really it's functioning as a subordinate clause, where this eating a large meal, where this gerund phrase, eating a large meal, is functioning as its own separate idea. I mean, you have eat, it's got an object that the verb is being applied to. It's a separate idea. And so after, in this case, is functioning as a subordinating conjunction, but it doesn't really matter for the comma usage. It's going to be the same thing. So for my purposes, it doesn't really matter if we call it a duck or a goose or a hen, as long as it lays the egg, as long as they put the comma after the introductory phrase there. So hopefully that helps. Very simple, but yes, I do recognize that there are other conjunctions. Good luck out there.